Lawrence Davis is the hair department head, and Stevie Martin is the makeup department head that helped to transform Jennifer Hudson into Aretha Franklin in the film Respect. I'm Denton Davidson for Gold Derby, and I'm thrilled you can both join me together to talk about your work on this movie. And I'm just going to start asking both of you, what was the first thing that went through your minds when you found out you'd be recreating the iconic looks of one of the most legendary singers of all time? And was there more pressure involved in creating an icon or recreating an icon everyone is so familiar with? Lawrence, let's start with you.
Well, the first thing that went through my mind is I have got to get this right. Because of who it is, and everybody knows who Aretha Franklin is, of course, but just being true to the story and doing her legacy justice, that kind of pressure was on my shoulders. So I knew that coming out of the gate that I had to do everything in my power to get this right. The look had to be on point.
And Stevie, how about you?
I would say the same thing. I was like, no pressure, but pressure. And I was like, just making sure, because concerning makeup, there was not as much makeup as it was hair. So just defining those staples that she did and that she did wear concerning makeup to draw the audience in, to make sure that, historically it being accurate and they can identify, oh, that this was the time period, oh, that was the time period.
And Lawrence, Jennifer sported several iconic hairstyles for this movie, including, the beehives, pixie, afro. It's a lot of hair, different styles. Can you tell us which one was your favorite look and how you were able to construct that?
Yes, I have to say the performance beehive, that was my favorite look, only because it's just that, it's just one of the iconic looks that we've seen Aretha in the past. It was my favorite because it was actually one of the most flexible hairstyles. I was able to do, of course, the full beehive, but there's another style in the movie there. She has these huge cluster curls on top. So that was one wig that I was able to change into two styles. So that in itself was one of my favorite wigs to do. And it was the wig that I say had the most built-in hair, should I say. It was the wig that I built up the most from a smaller pixie to a huge bouffant.
So do you just add more pieces one on top of the other?
Yeah, there's a one wig foundation, and then what I did in the top was I constructed wefts into a circular motion, and the only way it can go from there is up and out. So it was one of those things that I had to think about ahead of time because of the weight of it. I needed to make sure Jennifer could really be comfortable in it while she was performing. So that's one of the pieces that I'm most proud of, because I built that piece from pretty much from scratch.
And Stevie, what sort of makeup adjustments do you have to make to demonstrate the era you're in, and how would you describe Aretha's personal makeup style?
For one, Aretha's personal makeup style, I don't really think she had one. I just really think she just had those things that she knew to do every day, which would be liner, mascara top and bottom, and maybe like a lip color. But other than that, you could tell that wasn't really something that, she was really into. So it kind of was a little easy for her concerning makeup in the time period because she didn't really do a lot. So more so on the background and the atmosphere, so that all the day players in the background and the start work finish actors, the supporting cast, you would be able to tell the different periods and different times through the color palettes and some of the things that were done.
Is there a specific time period that's your favorite for makeup?
I would say the 60s if I had to choose. The cool tones, the blue green eyeshadows. I really like that for Aretha because that was the time that I did get a chance to play with some eyeshadow because she really didn't do any. And when she would perform, that was my opportunity to get, to glam her up a little bit more than she normally glams herself up. And she had this like occasional mold that she would put on sometimes and sometimes not. So trying to keep up and track that it was pretty funny.
Like a beauty mark type of mold?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't realize that. Um, so how important is the collaboration between the hair and makeup department on set? And are you just sort of constantly working to adjust looks together and checking back and forth? Or does one go first and then the other? Or how do you complement each other on set?
It's definitely a collaboration every day.
Absolutely.
We come together and we kind of talk about what we're shooting, what look we're gonna do, what period it is. Um, I would go first sometimes, just depending on if Lawrence needed to just prep the hair, and I needed to do makeup, and so we would piggyback off of each other. Everything that you said, it would be like, okay, let's get this picture. Does this match? Does this look good? Is this what it's supposed to be like? Are we accurate? Because we definitely had references in the photos. He had the wigs, we had the photos in the trailer. So we wanted to make sure that we got it right, whether that was looking at it, kind of co-signing with each other, and making sure that everything was on point, because that was important. You're doing a period, people are gonna look for it if it's accurate.
Also, we had to consider what the wardrobe was, and that right there kind of set the tone. If it was a performance outfit, we knew that we can definitely glam Aretha up a notch or two, or a maximum. If it was basically a huge concert like Madison Square Gardens or one of her iconic performances, we were able to just pretty much take her to a place where she was considered to be the most glamorous she's ever been. But definitely through costumes, we were inspired with color palettes and the hairstyles.
And what were the performance sequences like for each of you? Stevie, for you, I'm thinking about just like how she's perspiring on stage. How do you get that look to work for you on film?
I had to pretty much be creative because I didn't want to compromise the makeup with creating the sweat, because the things that they do have out for artificial sweat, I didn't want to keep retouching it all the time. So I came up with a compilation of products, some dewy spray and some MAC lip gloss, and I knew that it wouldn't run, it wouldn't go anywhere. And so it just gave it realism because she was a drinker. So when she would sing and perform, people like, oh, she's really into it. She's sweating. Like, yeah, she's sweating, but her body's detoxing at the same time. So, and trying to find a balance of not too much sweat, because she did really sweat profusely. But, this being a film, I didn't want anything that I did concerning makeup to be a distraction.
And what was it like to have her family on the set? Did you learn anything about her from them, or were you able to communicate much with them and how they saw Aretha?
I think that having our family on set gave us a sense of pride at what we did and how true to the story that we, as a group, kept. I know that her giving her blessing to Jennifer was definitely a permission slip for us to be as authentic as possible, but also do her justice. And having her family around gave us that boost of energy that we needed, and it gave us that pride to make sure we kept everything as authentic as possible, and to show them, we are going to do your loved one justice, and we're going to tell this story the way she wanted it told. So having them there was really good, because occasionally you would get the nods from them, and the smiles, and it just kind of told us that we were on the right track.
And the movie is obviously centered on Aretha, but the cast is pretty large. It's an incredible cast: Forest Whitaker, Audra McDonald, Mary J. Blige, Marlon Wayans. That's just a few. So there's so many looks that your teams have to create in total. Lawrence, starting with you, I mean, do you even remember how many total looks that you had to create for the film? And then what sort of team do you work with for that?
Wow, for that, I know that the maximum we had were about 25 hairstylists in that particular. I think those were the church scenes as well as the concert scenes, Madison Square Gardens. Even though most of them were the church scenes and the concert scenes. So up to 25 additional hairstylists were helping us out in background, because with a period film, everybody has to be touched. Everybody has to look the part. So I think that in all, there were about 100 wigs in the movie. About 10 to 12 of those wigs were Jennifer's wigs. About 5 to 6 of those wigs were performance wigs. So about 100 wigs in all for their background, as well as Jennifer's wigs. A lot of hair.
And Stevie, what's the makeup team look like on a set like that?
Well, the makeup team would normally look like 25 background, but I didn't have that. So it was about 13 of us. So I was very much hands-on. I very much was doing background as well, helping out my team and making sure that they had everything that was supposed to be for the time period. So I will make the lookbooks look posters. And so have all these reference photos from the different time periods and color palettes of what was needed for that specific scene or what we were doing. So it was a lot. I didn't even count or keep up. I was just all hands in. Let's dive in. Let's get it done. Let's make sure that it is accurate and it looks good. But I just was wearing many hats because Atlanta was busy during that time while we were filming. So it's for me. It was trying to find the handful that I did get that were experienced and that knew and shared my vision and knew how I would work and wanted it to come on board. So I was busy. busy.
And what was that like for each of you to when you see your work on film for the first time? For this particular movie, when you saw it, I was lucky I got to see this in a theater with people. I don't get that experience a lot right now, but I mean the audience was hollering back at the screen. So did you guys have that opportunity, and what did you think when you saw your work come to life?
Oh, wow. For me, it was one of the most humbling things I've ever seen, because not only was it on the big screen, but it was a story that everybody's been waiting for, and about an iconic woman, the Queen of Soul. So for me, it was a very surreal moment to see it on the big screen. Stevie and I saw it at the same time at the premiere. And I think, Stevie, did you see it before that or anything? Or was that your first time as well?
I did. I saw it with my family.
Okay.
I saw it with my family. I'm gonna let Lawrence finish, and I'll tell you about that part.
It was very surreal seeing it. And although we were there and we did the film and put the pieces of the puzzle together, because a film or a television show is never shot in order, but to see this story come to life on the screen was very emotional. It was very emotional not only to see my work, but to have and listen to the story that Aretha wanted the world to see and hear, and have it be a story that people weren't really familiar with. There were so many parts of her life that were mysterious to a lot of people because they could not connect the dots. But to see this story and to see that it was told
Right.
in a beautiful manner about a beautiful woman just made me honored to be a part of it. Also to see not only that, but to see my work as well as Stevie's work and Clint's work and Liesel's directing, Jennifer's work, all of it played out from the pages of the script itself. That's one thing, but to see the actual finished product was very, very emotional, and I was just so glad to be a part of it. Absolutely.
And I saw the film with my family, and to be in the audience, and first of all, my kids were very excited, so I became a cool mom, which I didn't know I was at the time. And to hear the audience react saying, oh yeah, I remember when we wore our hair like that. Oh, I remember doing my makeup like that. And so my kids getting the opportunity to hear this and knowing that their mom worked on something like this, and it's iconic. I mean, if I would have told my younger self, hey, do you know that when you get older that you will be retelling an icon's story through a movie? I would never believe it. So it was surreal. And then when we got to see it at the premiere, see it all come together, it was very emotional. And it was like, oh, we got it right.
Well, Lawrence and Stevie, I want to thank both of you so much for your time today. I'm going to encourage our viewers to head over to goldderby.com, make your awards predictions, and check out more interviews with top awards contenders like Lawrence and Stevie here. And once again, good luck to both of you this award season, and thanks for chatting with me about your incredible work on the film Respect.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.